Well guys, welcome back to Linda's Pantry. I really appreciate you stopping by. I've got a great video for you today. It's a follow-up for my last video. My last video, I prepped ahead a bunch of chicken that I got on sale for my dogs. Chicken and sweet potatoes, put it in the freezer, and I'm good to go for 4 to 5 weeks easily. And so, that being said, I cooked all of the chicken in the same stock water. And so, it has made this really rich, completely delicious chicken stock that you can't get any other way other than cooking 6 chickens down. No onions, no garlic, no added salt, nothing. A little bit of sugar from the sweet potatoes, very diluted though. So anyways, I hope it inspires you because we're gonna pressure can some chicken stock today. I'm not letting one drop of this go to waste. It'll be great for soups and stews, and I know where it came from. I also know that there's no sodium added, which when you buy a quart of chicken stock, the sodium content is just huge, even when it's reduced. It's just so unnecessary. So let's go can some beautiful homemade chicken stock. Let's go do some pressure canning. We haven't done this in a while. Come on. We've got this beautiful bunch of cold, gelatinous chicken stock that is just going to be fabulous. I'm going to skim the fat off of all this. In my other video I said I took a quart of fat off, but it's really only about a cup, maybe a cup and a half. And then we've got the rest of what's in here, and you can see how gelatinous that is. That's all that collagen and everything that's in the bones and the connective tissue. It just breaks down and makes a wonderful stock without having to add anything to it or any sodium or anything. So what we're going to do is get the fat skimmed off, and you can actually save this. This chicken fat is fabulous to use. A lot of people will actually, if I have room in the canner, I'm going to go ahead and can it. And it'll be like having a lard or anything else like that. And I don't mind if it gets little particles because we're the ones eating it, but if you wanted to make it really pure, you can cook it down and strain it off and make it, you could make, I think you can make soap out of this, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to ask Bear Prepper about that one. She's the soap maker. But and then I just take, you know, the little bit that looks like it's got some particles of meat, I kind of clean that up is all. So I'm going to skim off all the fat here. Heat up the stock because it's going to go in hot jars. Okay, so we've got this pretty much, this one's pretty much done. And if there's a little fat, I mean, when you buy chicken stock, you see a little bit of fat in your stock. Usually a can of stock will have a little glob of fat. But this comes right off the top pretty easily. And there you go. I can't wait. So I'm going to finish skimming all this off the top here, and we'll get heating this up, and then we're going to strain it off because there's bits and particles of meat and skin in the bottom of this, and I want to make sure I get that strained out. I don't want that in my chicken stock. Look at this beautiful amount of chicken fat. Oh my gosh. If you've never had chicken and dumplings, make your biscuits or your dumplings with a little bit of this fat. Oh goodness gracious. Okay, so I wanted to show you how much fat I've skimmed off. That's a pretty fair amount, and that will serve as some really delicious, and we're not wasting a thing. We've got some fat for later to use in cooking, baking biscuits. I can even make the dogs some biscuits. Anyways, I don't like to feed them too much fat. It's really not healthy for them. But so I've got these 2 containers. I'm going to go ahead and get that down in there. And there's quite a bit of sediment. As you can see, this has kind of stayed on the bottom of this container. Just, you know, sediment. So I'm going to get the gelatin out of there. And I'm not going to worry about what's at the bottom of that, I don't think. I don't know. You know, I'm going to strain it off, so let's see what I think that is. I don't know that I need that in there. I think I'm going to leave it out. I think it's just pure sediment of skin and all that kind of stuff. So this one will be a little trickier, but I'm going to heat this up. I've got it over a medium heat. You're just going to heat it up and get it ready to go. And then we're going to be straining it through 4 layers of cheesecloth in a fine sieve. So I'll be back when I show you how it's heating right up. And then we're just going to start the straining process, ladle by ladle, just to make sure that we've got a beautiful, clear. This is so a labor of love, but way worth it. So you can see that little bit of sediment that's collecting in the cheesecloth. That's okay. If you wanted to get a bigger measuring spoon and scoop out more at a time, you can. I'm just going to keep on ladling until my bowl is full, and then I'll transfer it into another bowl because it's going to go back in this pot to heat up to get hot liquid into my hot jars. And sometimes you got to move it around a little bit to get it to strain. Okay, so I've got it all strained off. It's gorgeous. Very little fat. Just beautiful, nice, clear stock. I've rinsed my pan out, so there's no sediment in that as well. Now you could water this stock down a bit if you wanted, or you could actually cook it down and reduce it and reduce it and reduce it like Bear Prepper did and make your own bouillon and dehydrate it and make your own bouillon. But I'm gonna can it. I'm taking the easy route. And beautiful. I don't remember what size pan this is, so I can't really guesstimate. I know I'm gonna get a couple of quarts. Anyway, I'm gonna guess 3 or 4 quarts. So I've got the heat on now because I'm gonna start filling jars as soon as this gets hot. And then what I'm gonna do after that is, after I get the jars all filled, I'm gonna go ahead and heat this fat up and strain it as well through the cheesecloth and get that into a jar and just can it. Jars, hot jars out of the dishwasher. You're loading hot into hot, so I'm gonna use my favorite funnel here. They don't make them very hearty anymore, if that makes sense. So I get my jars as close, and they are hot. And what I like to do, I've got my pan here, I've got my lids and rings, and I go ahead and I'm using smallmouth on some of these because you know, it's hard to use smallmouth for just anything, but for liquids it's perfect. So I go ahead and get some liquid started, and so it keeps the jars from cooling off too much. And I'm going to get this all the way filled up for you. Look at how pretty this is. Right to the bottom rim there is where you want to stop. You want to take it, and I only use vinegar because that's what my mother used, and it's a good habit. Nothing's going to live through this pressure canning process, but you want to clean off your rim. You could use water, but I use vinegar because then when I do water bath canning, I know I'm just as safe and it's clean. And so fill up this second jar. We're going to get the lids and rings on, and I'm going to let them sit in the canner. The canner's warm. I pressure can at 15 pounds of pressure, and that's because of my altitude. You refer to the ball canning book for everything if you're not sure. All right, so I've actually heated up the chicken fat and strained it through the cheesecloth in the strainer, and it's still hot. It's not super hot, but it's warm. Again, you want to fill that pint jar up just at a ½ inch of headspace. And I've got a little extra here. I don't know that it's enough for a whole nother jar, but let's find out. I've got jars waiting here in the canner. Hot. Okay. So, and if it's not full, we'll go ahead. It's not. We can go ahead and put that in the refrigerator, or you know, you can can it up like that. I could actually get a small canning jar out, and I might do that. Get a small canning jar out and can it up in a small one. But this, I'm going to go ahead and put this in the refrigerator, and we'll use it up here in the next couple weeks. I'll make sure of it because I'm pretty sure that chicken and dumplings and all the biscuits and gravy and all those things are in our future here. So again, you want to wipe the rim because the fat will definitely keep your jar from sealing. So there we go. And I'm not concerned with doing pint jars and I like to bring it up to a pretty good temperature and then put that lid on. So you've got on your lid, you have a vent hole, you have a pressure valve. That should go up and down freely when you push on it. You should be able to see daylight through your vent hole without any blockages. And you need to check your rubber gasket and make sure. And I always have a couple of these on hand. So my canner is up to speed. It's hot in here. I feel like it's come up together because the jars aren't boiling hot. The broth isn't boiling hot, but hot. I just want to bring everything up so you don't get a broken jar. And it's wanting to start boiling, so I'm going to go ahead and put my lid on. And my V-latch is on this side, and my, sorry for the noise, my pressure valve is over here. And you know when it's pressurized, when that button pops up, the steam's going to start venting out of here. I'm going to let it vent a steady stream of steam for a full 10 minutes before you put your here's a quick shot of, this is venting. When that steady stream of steam is shooting out of that vent hole for 10 full minutes, then you can put the rocker on. 10 minutes is up. Clear your timer. Now you're going to put your weight on for your altitude and what you're cooking. Always refer to the ball canning book, or there's plenty of resources online. And I do follow the ball canning book guidelines. So I've got to wait until now that this starts jiggling, and it'll take a little while before it starts. And when it does, then I'm going to set my timer. And for quart jars, and that's the largest jar in here, for quart jars, it's 25 minutes. Once you get it rocking, you start the timer. Okay, so that is definitely a jiggling. And as soon as that starts doing that is when you set your timer. I've set my timer for 25 minutes. At the 25-minute mark, all I'm going to do is turn my burner off. You can't touch that weight or anything until that pressure valve in the back has gone all the way down. Just be patient and leave it alone, because all you'll do is break all your jars and all your hardware. This is still very hot, but our jiggler is totally gone. Stop jiggling really very quickly after you turn the burner off. And the nice thing about this is, even though it's really, really cold outside and it snowed this morning, it's very warm in here now. So that's why I changed to short sleeves. We've got our pressure valve has released itself, so it's safe to take your weight off. No steam is coming out of there. You can put your hand over it. It's really important that you let it cool down enough. It's not a fire drill, and it's really, really important not to waste your work. So when you do open it though, because it is hot, you want to make sure that you turn that away from you, and maybe you can see some steam. It's definitely steam. Pull out a beautiful quart jar of delicious chicken stock. Look at that. You don't get chicken stock like that in the grocery store. Just saying. Here is a beautiful pint of schmaltz, and that's what you would call chicken fat, and you can see that's boiling inside that jar right now. So there you go. You want to make sure that you let these cool on a towel. I like to space them out and let some air flow through, you know, between them. And then we're all done. So we got beautiful 5 quarts and 1 pint. And I probably could have had 6 quarts of stock. The next time I do 6 chickens, I'm going to aim for a quart per chicken of stock. So I'm just going to add more water because this is really concentrated. I'll be able to add water to this. It's very, very flavorful, but very concentrated. So you'll be able to add water at, you know, at some point. And look how pretty. Just gorgeous. Can't beat that for going in the pantry. So the finished product right there. And I've got just a little bit in a wine glass actually. And I just wanted to taste this for you so you understand what's going to hit your palate first. It's just got a really rich, hearty chicken flavor, but almost a roasted chicken flavor, and I'm not sure why that is, but it really tastes like I roasted the chickens first and then did the stock, but we know I didn't do that. And there's no sodium, but it has plenty of salt to the whole thing, and it's just fabulous. As soon as you refrigerate this, it's gonna go back to a gelatinous state. So, but then when you heat it, it's gonna melt right down. So you've gotten all the collagen, all the minerals, everything that was in that meat and those bones out of that. That's, ooh, listen to the pinging. Ooh. Very good. Can't wait. Wow. You guys, did you hear that? That's awesome. So that means that our jars are sealing. And what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna leave these overnight. They're just gonna sit here and not disturb them at all. And then tomorrow, probably tomorrow afternoon, because I work tomorrow afternoon, I'll take the rings off, wash everything really well, make sure before I go to bed that all these tops have sealed down. This one hasn't sealed yet. All the rest of them have except for that one so far. Oh, there we go, another one sucking down. As soon as they all, you know, I check them all and make sure they seal down, and then in the tomorrow afternoon I'll go ahead and take the rings off, wash the jars with hot soapy water. But I put the rings back on because we are not in a humid climate. If you were in a humid climate, you don't want to possibly leave those off just so they don't rust, because I know people have had issues in a humid climate of the rings rusting and then they can't get the jar open at all. So that being said, these guys are actually going in and out. I think there's a lot of pressure going up and down, but that's all right. So that being said, I hope this inspires you to try this on your own. You can do this with beef as well, and venison, any kind of meat. You can do this and do your own stock. So spoil your puppies and spoil yourself. All right, guys. I hope I see you next time. God bless.